The fact is that most of them, like we mentioned, are not.
Some of these supplements that are going to be worth your money might be certain vitamins in very, very, very specific cases.
Yeah.
Which supplements are going to be worth your money?
Yeah, that's the big question that everyone kind of has. The fact is that most of them, like we mentioned, are not.
Some of these supplements that are going to be worth your money might be certain vitamins in very, very, very specific cases.
Yeah.
So what cases am I talking about here? I'm talking about maybe people who don't eat any animal products. So vegans, you're not eating any eggs, you're not eating any dairy at all, you're not eating any kind of meat or fish. There are some vitamins that can only be found in animal products, like vitamin B12. It's very important that vegans supplement with B12. It's also common that vegans fall short when it comes to vitamin D. Now, that's really common in the general population in any way. Okay, yeah. Most people aren't getting enough vitamin D. That's not found in very many foods. I mean, you do see it in things like eggs, mushrooms, liver, mostly animal products, and it's also fortified. So fortified in things like orange juice or your milk. So people like vegans who aren't getting dairy, that's a major place where this is fortified, and where, like with eggs, like a place where some of this is found naturally, they're not going to get that. So it's pretty common to see those deficiencies. Same with iron in vegans, okay? Because iron is the form of iron that's in animal products is the kind that is best absorbed. Yeah. Okay, so your body can make the most use of it. With plants, it is found to some smaller extent, but it's not as bioavailable.
Yeah, just so we sound super smart, what are the heme and non-heme?
Heme and non-heme.
Yeah. So heme is the one that's associated with animal products, so like hemoglobin, kind of from the same root. The heme one, or the one found in animal products, has been shown to be more bioavailable, so more easily used by your body, in other words.
So back to special circumstances. I would also say, aside from vegans, there's also special circumstances. Like, for instance, it's common in runners that are women of childbearing age to fall short of iron. Iron is going to be a big one for those ladies. Mm-hmm. And this is a nice segue because we talked a little bit about vitamin D.
Cool. Vitamin D. So, Katie.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Oh my gosh, you guys, most people in the US are vitamin D deficient. And there was some argument as to what the adequate levels were for a while, but I can safely say that most people are below adequate levels.
Yeah.
Mine, I think they settled on you're low if you're under 30, and I was in 30. The 20s, and that's bad.
What are some scenarios where someone would have to supplement with vitamin D? Why are so many people deficient in it?
Yeah, so definitely, it's a good question. Why are so many people deficient? Vitamin D plays really important roles in your body, and not just like bone health and the obvious structural need for it, but also with immune health. And every cell in your body has a vitamin D receptor. So it plays a super important role. And the people who are going to be at the greatest risk of being deficient are going to be people who obviously don't spend a lot of time in the sun, because your body can manufacture vitamin D from the sun through a series of reactions, but it can also get it through food. And like we talked about earlier, there's not that many places where vitamin D is found in high amounts, particularly when it comes to non-animal foods. Really, mushrooms is the most famous thing you can find vitamin D in. Yeah, people just fall short. And I'm not sure if it's that people just aren't getting enough and they aren't getting enough sun, or if it's more complex than that. And since it plays such a large role with immune reactions, there's certainly a link. They found a link between low vitamin D and autoimmune disorders. But there are a lot of people who are kind of having inflammation and on that side of things. And if it plays a role in that, I'm wondering if it gets used up too in the body. Yeah, sure. And that's something that I've always thought about looking into, that I need to look into. But for some reason, just a lot of people are deficient. So you want to, if you are concerned about being vitamin D deficient, you can get your blood tested for that at your doctor's office. And also understand that the best form of vitamin D that's going to be the most bioavailable is vitamin D3. So look for that.
Okay, so Omega-3's. Yeah. What are Omega-3's?
So Omega-3's are it's a type of polyunsaturated fatty acid, and it's linked to, it's most notable for its role as being anti-inflammatory in the body. Right.
So inflammation is kind of one of these boogeymen that, people seem to be really afraid of. And then they're like, oh, well, you can supplement with omega-3. Just take all the omega-3 and you'll reduce all your inflammation. That's good, right?
No, getting too many antioxidants can be a bad thing. There needs to be there's a role for inflammation in the body.
100%.
You need inflammation.
Yeah.
For example, with the immune system, it can help you kill some of these bacteria and viruses and stuff like that. It does act as a signal in the body for certain things to happen.
Yeah.
So if you squelch that response by throwing a whole lot of antioxidants on there, you're interfering with the body's normal way of recovering from exercise and dealing with that stress and actually signaling for muscle growth and some of those things. You're squelching very, very important processes. Taking too many antioxidants, that can be a double-edged sword and something that we don't advise. Omega-3, that same thing goes for omega-3. Mm-hmm. That's pretty popular to put antioxidants in post-workout products, but a lot of these sports institutes advise against that for that very reason, that they can interfere with normal processes that actually enhance muscle growth and stimulate your immune system to improve in response to that exercise and other important processes that are going to help you adapt to it.
Yeah. Recovery.
Well, and that's the thing about man. We always think that we're smarter than our bodies and we can come up with these things that are going to circumvent these important processes happening. We don't realize how important they are, how necessary they are. We see things as black and white. We don't understand sometimes that this is all part of the plan.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're looking at getting an omega-3 product, you don't want to you don't want a super dose, first of all, but you also don't want to fall short, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of crappy products out there.
I was just going to say that next, yeah.
A lot of them have like less than a gram of omega-3. If you actually turn around and look at the label and look at what fatty acids are in there, a lot of them will actually contain like omega-9 and some omega-6s in there, which is like not what you were trying to get.
Yeah.
But that's true. They'll just kind of throw it all under the polyunsaturated acid umbrella and say, oh, it has omega-3s in it. Yeah, but I mean, what else does it have? Are you getting your money's worth for this?
Yeah.
So you really want to look at getting like 1,600 milligrams to 2 milligrams in a serving of this EPA, DHA. So it's important that you actually look at the quality of that. And also there's a lot of these omegas out there that have high levels of mercury and stuff like that. So just be careful where you get your omega-3s from.
So there's like DHA and EPA that comes from like animal products, and then there's like ALA that comes from like things like flaxseed oil and other plant-based sources. But they do have supplements where you can get it from different sources, I guess. So
which I always think is funny, like that they care so much about the source, because if it comes down to it has the same chemical structure, it's doing the same thing in the body. You can call it synthetic, you can call it natural. Yeah. It can come from animals, it could come from plants. But at the end of the day, if it's the same chemical structure, you're going to be having the same effect. So guys, don't get too like bogged down. And that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, because it's something great to talk about with people. They get so obsessed with the natural and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I guess if you're a vegan, it makes a difference.
Yeah, if you're a vegan.
What I would recommend though, like Katie mentioned earlier, is to make sure that you're getting a good quality product. Omega-3s do have their benefits. They've been, they're associated with decreased risk of heart disease and stroke and these sort of things.
I want to touch a little bit on the multivitamin thing. Why do you take a multivitamin, Mike? Because a lot of the major media outlets were slamming multivitamins. Oh, it's just a waste of time. You're just going to pee all these vitamins out. We get enough as it is. You're just wasting your money. So why would you choose, as a person who's very knowledgeable in nutrition?
Yeah, my rationale is basically that it's kind of like an insurance policy. There's two kinds of vitamins, right? There's water-soluble vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins. So the water-soluble vitamins are easier to get rid of by your body if you sort of superdose on them, right? So you'll see a lot of these supplements have like 3,000% of what you need for vitamin C or something. Well, vitamin C is water soluble, so the excess of that can be secreted pretty easily. Now, the ones that you need to be a little bit more careful with are the fat-soluble ones, because your body has a little bit harder of a time getting rid of those. And to that end, you also want to consume those with a fat source to make it a little bit more bioavailable. But anyways, so that's sort of my rationale. I try to stay cognizant of at least the fat-soluble vitamins in there, but I do just pretty much take it as an insurance policy.
You're taking something that has like 100% of the RDA in one sitting. And your body has mechanisms to downregulate those transporters and things and not absorb as much, because that can be harmful if you get too much at once, right? And your body doesn't want that. Yeah. So it's going to absorb less if you take all of it in one sitting. And that's why a lot of people will break their multivitamin in two, or a lot of multivitamins come in 2 capsules per serving, so that you get a smaller dose at one time and you might absorb more of it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The one thing I want to caution, like Mike was saying, it's nutrient insurance for him to take this multivitamin. which is very true. And that's also why you don't need to super dose with this. You don't need to go out and buy a multivitamin that has like 200, 300% of the RDA in it. There's some evidence that that can even be harmful with certain vitamins if you're getting too much. Usually, as Mike said, that would be the fat-soluble vitamins. But occasionally, if you're super dosing antioxidants like your vitamin C, your vitamin E, your vitamin A, that can actually increase mortality, especially vitamin A. Studies show that you had more likelihood of getting lung cancer in smokers, and they stopped the study early because it was like 46%. It was crazy. Yeah, it had to increase the risk of that, the odds of it. So they shut it down early. And so it's pretty well known. You don't mess with antioxidants. You don't want to superdose those. Yeah. I also had a teacher in college who got really big into vitamin C before she went back for her PhD, and it caused her to absorb too much iron, and she ended up getting like spots, all like skin spots, like iron spots, getting way too much iron because she was superdosing it. So guys, a little nutrient insurance is good. It's a good, healthy thing. A lot is unnatural, and it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Remember, there is a such thing as too much of a good thing.
Yeah.